excused, 'cause you're always late, overweight, and totally rude, honey.
Hi, this is Creatively Unworthy Podcast number 22. Isn't that cool?
And
Yeah.
it's without Christin today, she's working, and I'm Larry Chambers.
She got a new fancy job. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Sorry, I interrupted you.
it's a creative job. So she works from 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night and loves it because she's doing what she loves, which is, I'm not even sure, producing probably a new reality show.
Mm-hmm.
But just before we started, I said how I wanted to make sure that we stay kind of on mission and not just invite people that did stuff and have them talk, even though it's good to, see people that have been successful. But we want to remember it's about, having this deficit or whatever you want to call it, dyslexia, ADD. It's about living in a world that doesn't really recognize that that's a problem. Because if you looked at me or if you looked at Rebecca, you couldn't see that we're dyslexic or ADD or anything. Just look normal. And the only way to judge somebody is, in school, is by testing them. And the testing is unfair because the testing is usually a convergent testing type test, converge to a single correct answer. And those of us that are dyslexic and ADD are the hunter brain. We're more divergent thinkers. So I see 6 answers to the same question that the right answer, they're looking for one right answer. Well, unless it's mathematics, I'm sorry. There's many right answers. But, that being said, that keeps us out of the hierarchy of, the PhD, the top levels of education, and then you go into the corporations, it's the same thing. First of all, I'm not interested in running a big company. It's like boring beyond.
Yeah.
But
probably high stress too. I mean, managing all those people.
Everything. But then I don't fit in their categories. Even though I've written 50 books, I probably can't go teach a creative writing class because they'd say, well, you have to have an FMA.
Where's your degree, Larry?
Where's your degree in writing? And I go, well, called Hard Knocks, the degree of, I was too busy writing, 5 books a year for the last 20 years. Excuse me that I didn't go get a degree in writing. And, what I sort of noticed that almost like I just got this magazine. Let me grab it. It's right here. This is called Poets and Writers. And the first thing I noticed was how thick. This is the thickest I've ever seen a writing magazine. If you're around long enough, if you write for magazines, which I do, I can see trends. Like in the 80s, the financial planning magazines were twice this thick. Well, the reason why they're twice that thick is they're full of ads, which means those companies are spending lots of money in the magazine and they need content. So I would look at, you could look and see where industries are lacking and where they're really, pulling in a lot of revenue from ad revenues. Well, if you look in this, every page are ads for FMA, come to Antioch University. No, go to FMA at VCU. I know where that is. Hey, forget about that, Boston University. How about Columbia University?
Yeah. Your mic cut out really quick.
Because I had this in front of it.
Yeah. No, now it's back. What the heck?
So I put the magazine between myself and the mic. It also says your internet connection is unstable.
Oh, the government's trying to silence you. You're talking about their secrets.
Their secret FMA. What an FMA is it's the what am I trying to say? Master's of Fine Arts degree. Well, I've got a master's degree, but it's not of fine arts. It's, in health. But the FMA is really for somebody that wants to teach creative writing or teach writing. And I don't see a lot of professional writers that have FMAs. If you look at all the Stephen Kings and all of the people like that, they don't have any degrees at all. They just write. And these are almost like the farmer's version of being a writer. The farmer's version is you learn all the rules, and that's what you get when you get an FMA. Then you can go teach other kids to do the same thing that you're doing. And also what this magazine is full of is contests. Hey, and it's like, you want to be a writer or do you want to win a contest? And because there's certain things that you have to do. I mean, I've entered contests and it's like, oh my God. I mean, plus you have to pay them money to enter that contest.
And it's like, where do you think they're giving the winnings from?
It's like stupid. It's like,
yeah.
I don't pay that. They pay me. I mean, that's one of my rules is I get paid for what I write. So anyway, it's almost backwards. It's almost completely, upside down. But so I'm trying to figure out how to contact, I thought I would just do a test. And these are things that takes me off in a tangent, like writing all these creative writing programs and say, and volunteer, do, to speak or talk about getting published, from my world, which is a kind of a different world. But anyway, I noticed that when I look at the faculty, they're really heavy on the prizes that they had won in academic circles, like the Pickle Prize at the University of Science in blah blah blah. They won the Grand Kapubi Daba thing for the best you find out the books that a lot of these people have written are less, they've sold less than 100 copies. They still wrote a book. And
they're boring. They're usually really boring. That's why.
Yeah. And I don't mean to come down on them, but it's like my whole life they've come down on me. So I get to pull the curtain back from the bullshit, and because I want you to understand that when I look at your writing, I'm talking to Rebecca, I can see some brilliance in the stuff that she writes, creativity in the things that she's writing, and she doesn't still believe it, but I don't care if she believes it or not. I'm just telling you that's what I see. And the same with Christin, and guess what? Kristin's off with a job because she uses her talent, her creative talent. So I never have to worry about her because she always, people find her,
Yeah.
And so a lot of this is I would say the difference between you and Christin has confidence and you don't quite have that confidence yet, But
dang it. No, I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
I did get invited to feature some of my artwork in an art gallery recently that had an adult section, so I could be in there.
Good.
Yeah, but I was thinking of, because I started, sorry to go off on a tangent, but
no, it's about
I started storyboarding a comic, and what I did was actually made this. I just wanted to be able to do it as fast as I can for whatever. So I made this out of cardboard and just made a bunch of squares, and I just went down the page a bunch of times, and I made a comic that I really want to try to put together on the computer. That's where does it start? It's this long out of this book. It's this chunk. And I'd show it, but it's an adult comic. But
and so
I don't know. And I made and I made a Patreon for it where I'm going to put it, where people can pay to access it. So it won't just be like on my Instagram or something.
Mhm.
So
So
when
you
that's done,
created,
I'm going to sell it.
you created a tool that you could sell. So you saying that, I'll show you what I'm working on. We were just talking about working on a screenplay. And one of the things that I do is, success leaves clues. So I read a lot of screenplays. I read a lot of scripts. I don't know how many scripts I've read, but a lot. And I love reading them because I find things that I could use. Not to plagiarize it. You don't want to copy it, but you could see where the writer has done something interesting and how that affects, the next scene. So, and I've come up with my own tools. Like I did this. I don't know if you could see it, but I made this.
Wow. That's like a whole map.
It's a circle of sounds, because as I'm writing, and this thing sort of goes from low all the way around to high. So the low is suspenseful music playing, whispering, my glasses on, chuckling. Hey, how was your flight? Thank you, blah, blah, blah. Beep, 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 door opens. So this kind of progresses. The door slams, vacuum whirling, then gunshot, people laughing and chattering, elevator beeping, automatic, blah, 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 phone rings, cell phone rings, all the way up to alarm blaring, tires screeching, explosion. So just as a reminder of how these other guys have written something that works.
That is really cool.
Yeah. And, I could probably at some time, sell that as a tool for a screenwriter, or put it in a book. And
what was it, dirty writing or trash writing or something like that?
messy writing.
Yeah, you could put that at like Save the Cat had all those little PDFs in the front of it.
Yeah. And I collect things. So like this is a screenplay from the last action hero, and
The Last Action Hero,
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. Well, I really like the way they introduced Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it says, Bonneville door opens, a booted foot hits the asphalt, a glimpse of jeans, bomber jacket, trademark cigar, a t-shirt with a slight tear near the shoulder, 3 days stubble, Jack Slater. So you just introduced your character. So this shows me the way, real it's very, a screenplay is a precision mechanical instrument in a way, because it gives the director and it gives the actors, tells them what to do. So you don't have things like Jack was thinking, or you don't say, it's all visual. So a screenplay is great for somebody dyslexic like me, because the whole thing is just visual, but I get to see how they do it. So what I'll do is I cut out those parts that I like, and I put them with other parts to try to build something like this is a police station, and it shows the first thing you notice is the chaos, hookers, pimps, every form of lowlife, yelling, pushing, running around, and you can just that sort of sees it. And then I go to my screenplay where I'm working with this agency in Beijing. It's supposed to be the Chinese police. Well, they're no different than the American police. So same thing, hookers, low lives, people, and there's chaos going on. And so so I find that I can take those successful screenplays and integrate them into mine, and it makes it sound, it makes it work, plus I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, and that's really cool. Like, I don't know. I think we should link something.
Well, what we're doing is you're talking about the the model or the template that you built, and I'm just thinking how I build them all the time. I make them for myself so that I'm not bored out of my mind, and I do things like over there, if I can show reach. I don't know if you can see, but see the easel over there? It's a blank canvas. And it's a blank canvas because I plan on doing this as I'm writing this thing about Genghis Khan. I'm going to paint this cool, photograph I found this
Wow.
of Genghis Khan. And then here's another one, and I really like this one. I'll paint this one.
That looks really fun to paint, actually.
Yeah,
So you get all that detail and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, and these are the kinds of paintings that I like to do. Well, what does that have to do with writing a screenplay? It gives me, it keeps me kind of in focus with what I'm writing about, but yet I'm still now, I'm creating a painting about it, So there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's more interactive. And
it's more
I feel like when people think of writing, they think of you sit down at a desk, you stare at the screen, you're going to do exactly this today. No painting, no making maps, no doing any of that stuff.
Exactly. And that's that's crazy. I heard, I think it was Aaron Sorkin, who's like, he wrote The West Wing, and he wrote Social Network, and he's like the superstar of screenwriters. But he says he takes a lot of showers, like sometimes 5 showers a day, and he'll restart. Like if he gets stuck, he goes, takes a shower, puts on a new bunch of clothes, changes his clothes. And I thought, that's great. I mean, it's movement, he's showering. It's also sort of ending, stop, start, again.
And you feel really relaxed afterwards too.
Yeah, you feel relaxed, and especially, writing or any kind of creative endeavor like this can be a lonely career. And we were just talking just before this podcast, I just finished another Zoom meeting with my writing partner who's back in New Hampshire. He's got this cabin he's at right now, him and his wife. And so he puts, we're doing the Zoom call, and we do the share screen, and he puts up the screenplay, and we're going through it. I wrote it, and then he's been adding stuff and correcting it. Now, I went back and I rewrote stuff, and then, so we're down at the final before we'll send it out. And as we're going through it, I realized that this is the easiest it's ever been for when you're working with somebody else, because before, and I've had lots of people I've written stuff together, but it's usually me up walking around. I can't see what's on the screen. I have to get down and look at it. So I don't really see the words well, or if I am, then he can't see it, or we're talking about, but this, this new technology, especially with Zoom, you put up the screenplay and it looked so good. I was trying to use my mouse to move up and down before I realized it was on his screen, So it's just trying to come up, and part of this is just, for me, being creative means coming up with cool ideas that will save me money or make me money. And I mean, I did something the other day that was so creative. I had to get rid of a desk. It was a desk or drawer, and I wanted to get rid of it and couldn't sell it. And I thought, okay, I took it apart to throw it away. Well, as I'm taking it apart, I was also thinking about, I wonder if there's any of this wood that I could use for my easel, because I threw away the base. So it doesn't have a base. So I had to jerry rig a base, and it always kind of didn't work. It was always a hassle. So I found one piece of wood that was really heavy, and fixed it up on my easel where it's in the back. So and I didn't know, I wasn't consciously doing this, but what I did was I counterbalanced the easel. So now I could put the heavier paintings on it without having to really make these big adjustments, because I got this heavy chunk of wood that's just like, 2 by 2 and 3 inches thick. And it also locks the thing down. I'm like, oh my God, I did all this by accident, but it was sort of my mind was playing with it, and it was fun,
Yeah, wow.
And now I've got this new easel that looks like it came out of the box. That's better than the one that I bought, because I've got a counter, like a counterweight, which, when you're painting something and the easel shakes, it's hard to do stuff. You want it really solid.
Because it will mess up all your lines and things.
Oh, yeah,
It'll look all crazy.
Goes on and on. So part of, what I guess we're talking about today are just different shortcuts or things that you could use, and be conscious of them. Because as I'm doing one thing, it's kind of like my unconscious mind is working on the play, is working on that screenplay. Like I discovered, like I'm doing this screenplay about Stealing Mao. It's called Stealing Mao, and it's basically about a map that's hidden on the body of Chairman Mao Zedong, and he's in this glass coffin in Beijing. And without going into that story too much, I'm looking at it, and I wanted to have kind of a diversion in my fun and games part of the story. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool, because I got this girl, her name is Lucy, and she's like this, she's like hip, she's like this, modern day. She's got it really going, and she's really cool. She wears these big, tall tennis shoes that make her look taller because she's really short. And those shoes end up later being the thing that hits these terrorists and saves the day. Well, I wanted to give her more background, I thought, I wonder if Burning Man, it'd be cool to have something about Burning Man. I thought, I wonder if there's Burning Man in China. And I look up, and there's Dragon Burn. They got this whole thing, And then I find this incredible, cool picture. Can I do this sharing on my screen?
Yeah. Here,
Okay.
I think I have to enable it.
Yeah, you have to enable it.
Yeah. Try now.
Okay, and then what do I do? Screen share?
Mhm.
Is that it?
Did it work?
I don't know. Can you see my blue screen?
Oh,
You just got rid of myself.
try to do it again. I did more. I hit more buttons.
Well, now I completely lost you. All I see is you. You see me?
You could have pinned me. I can see you. Yeah. If you go up to the top where it says view, where it has
There's nothing
squares. There's nothing.
No,
Wait.
I made it.
Did this make you move?
Oh, you
Did
put
this?
me in the little box thing.
Yeah. If I go back, it might go back for you too. Did it fix it?
Yeah. It did.
Yeah.
It fixed it. Okay. So I'm sorry. It took so long.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to show you was, where did I put
Do
it?
the green one at the bottom in the middle.
Because this is what we're talking about is, how do you make this fun? How can you be fun? So I discovered I wanted to do a Burning Man thing. Well, so I go to, can you see this page?
No, you have to start the screen share.
I have to do the screen.
Yeah, go to Zoom, and when you move the mouse around, it should be the green button in the middle with the arrow in it.
The green button, there is no green button in the middle. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, share. But do you see this screen? Do you see?
No, not yet.
Wow. Okay, we got to figure out how to do this. There's share. Now do you see it?
Yay! Yes.
Look at this. This thing is totally cool.
Wow, what's that?
That's the Burning Man in China. So I wanted to have, and of course they hold it in Mongolia, because you can't, in China, having a group of people get together is illegal. That's one of the things.
Really?
Yeah, because they're always worried about overthrowing the government. So, and then these are the people in this. It was a photograph I found at the Burning Man there. Well, this is almost like my cast of characters in my movie.
Aw.
So it gives me this image of them, and then this was what the thing looked like there, and then boom, right in the middle of this is this giant thing of Genghis Khan.
Wow.
And so it totally, and what am I writing? I'm writing about him because the Stealing Mao is about finding this map to his treasure. So out of just, doing some investigation, I found these really cool photographs. And then that keeps me going. It inspires me to, to stop the sharing. Okay, boom. So we come back. So anyway, I just wanted to show how I try to make everything be fun, and then run with my research wherever my research takes me, and not get stuck in it, because I can start getting stuck in it. But then I wanted to find, and I thought, well, I want to do another thing. Instead of gold bars, which if you had a treasure and it had a bunch of treasure of gold bars, how do you get the gold out? Because it's in this, I've got it in this cave.
Yeah, it'd be heavy.
It'd be heavy. So I thought, okay, instead of gold bars, what if I had something that was priceless, so valuable that people would die for it? And I thought of the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Art of the Covenant. And so I start tracing back what in the movie, they're talking about how the Ark of the Covenant was lost in Jerusalem, and it goes on telling. I won't go into what it was about, but then I overlaid a map of Genghis Khan's conquest, and one of them was he stretched clear to Jerusalem. They had a battle in Jerusalem, so I thought theoretically he could have stolen that Ark of the Covenant, brought it back, and hid it in China, because they've never found it. And I thought, well, this is great. This is better than, so playing, just like letting my mind, this is also called divergent thinking. I just let it go wild, because what I want to do is create scenes that are really dramatic and really fun. Well, I go to my favorite movies and I see, what did they do? Well, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was, you don't really see much about the Ark, but it's the movie, it's about them finding it and then getting it back and all this sort of stuff. So there's information about it, and then that information leads to where it was hidden, and then that information, and on and on and on and on.
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. And nobody's used that concept since Indiana Jones too, so
yeah,
it'd be like modern day.
Yeah, and I'll just change it, to where it's not Indiana. I mean, obviously it's not, because it's a completely different set. But it's
an action movie,
it's called it's called
genre.
When you go back and you re-engineer, it's re-engineering. So I find if I want to create an exciting scene, I'll look at a movie that has an exciting scene and then re-engineer that scene to be my scene.
Yeah.
Do this for books or for anything like that. So
that's
kind of what I wanted to share today, was my little fun things that keep me motivated, that keep me going.
I like them, and I feel like if we get a following, like that's kind of inspirational for a creative person, because it means it doesn't have to be boring trying to make what you want to make.
It should be boring. If it's boring for you, it's going to be boring for the reader. It's got to be something that literally knocks your socks off,
Yeah.
And even in the writing, that's why I have those scenes that what I say they do is the words will make a scene pop. So I found something like, this is A flaming gun bursts through the wall in a shower of bricks. Models drive, these are like actresses, dive for cover. The car hits, ruptures, and a flaming man stumbles out. Well, there's a scene, you look up that scene, and that scene might take 3 seconds, but this sentence describes it, perfectly. So there's another one. There's one that I really like the way it opens. Just, starting with the word crack, crack, flat echoing shots from behind. That's it. And
Yeah,
you
that's smooth.
Yeah, you instantly get it. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to put it in my story. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, the structure of that, if that's what they want to see in a screenplay,
Yeah.
And I feel like people don't think about how many modern stories have basically been refurbished older stories too.
Oh, they're all older stories.
Yeah.
You go back.
People like what they like, and they like it, and it's like the Save the Cat format. It's like nobody wants you to reinvent the wheel. They want you to do it in a creative way, but they don't want something so drastic, so crazy that
it's called this. Give me the same but different.
Yeah.
They want the same. So that's why you really do need to understand. And I always talk about this book, Save the Cat, by Blake Snyder. And there's Save the Cat groups that have formed around the world, for him. Mm-hmm. But this is one of the best screenwriting books that you'll ever read. And it doesn't talk about formatting or any of that stuff that you get when you pick up the very, very serious FMA programs on doing the right type of formatting, and they'll tell you how important it is, to go off center, 3 clicks to the right, and then you put in you know what? Give a shit less. If you came up with something that was really good, and somebody read it that knows what first of all, they know that you're not a professional screenwriter, but wow, this person's really creative. Just like when I read your story about vampires, I didn't go, oh wow, she's like not very professional writer, she's did this or that. No, I went like, wow, this is super creative, this is great. I could care less how it's formatted, you know what I mean? And
thank you.
Well, I'm just telling you, that's the goal should be to get words down on paper, get your ideas down, and then get some help from people, like I hire editors to do the farmer work, and I call it farmer work, and my job is to do the hunter job, the creative work, and come up with something. Anyway, that's all I had for today. I'm so tired from being, I just did a 2-hour Zoom screenplay meeting just before this one.
Yeah, I can imagine having them right back to back would be kind of.
Yeah, I can't imagine school teachers, what they have to go through.
Yeah, doing a class back to back every single day. Yeah. And you have to say the same thing again and again to your next class. Oh my God. Yeah. I'd die.
No, I'd quit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and
they don't let you be creative with it either. You have to follow their rubric of how they want you to teach, and it's like.
Well, you're in that right now. You're having to regurgitate what they want you to do, right?
Yeah, I won't. Yeah.
You seem happier today. Last week you weren't so happy because you were overwhelmed with crap.
I was, but I took your guys' advice to heart, and I really thought about things, and my other class just started, and this other class, I feel like it's a political science class. I was really worried about it because, I don't like talking about politics in general, but also, I don't know if this professor wants me to be a mouthpiece for their political opinions. Am I going to have to cheese all my papers? Is this going to be just mental suffering on me? And when I got to the class, like I have it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it wasn't so bad. And like his tests and quizzes, I don't know, they don't seem so like they're gonna be too much harder than my physiology, so I'm not gonna worry about it. And I've been making I joined a Discord group for my physiology class, and I made a bunch of flashcards, and I feel less miserable about learning all of it. And yeah, I'm de-stressed now. My internal crisis has been quelled. Also, I made that comic. I'm so proud of myself.
You made that
that comic. And also for making quick comics, just storyboarding, like just having just a bunch of panels to fill in, like these little squares. Like it was really nice. It made it, because after you could do dropped it, but you could do like a whole bunch of pages of this, and then just write whatever comes to mind that you want to do. And because I'm ADHD dyslexic, right? I'm very visual, and it felt almost better than trying to actually write, because when I write, I see all my spelling mistakes and all my errors, and I'm like, oh my god, this, like, I'm embarrassed to go back and reread it, because I'm like, I know there's going to be a lot that I kind of just skimmed over, going over it really fast. But when I'm drawing it and I was making the comic, like, that's part writing too, because you're writing the story.
You're doing a script.
And you're illustrating. Yeah. And it was really fun because my mistakes were silly. Like, I wasn't trying to make it a detailed picture, so half of them were just expressions and half of them were just stick figures. But it made me laugh to go back and read it, because I'm like, oh, that's so goofy, haha. Wow. Like, it wasn't like miserable. It was like, I don't know. And because it was kind of like an NSFW content, right? Like, I drew little faces on all the male genitalia. So it was really funny. It was really funny to go back and look at it, because I was like, ha, look at that.
That's funny.
And yeah, and it's like I could see myself going and trying to go back and make it an actual comic that I can sell, because there's never a shortage of people who want to buy that kind of content, right? And I could advertise it on my Instagram and all that. And I don't know, I was excited for that. And I might turn, well, I still want to do a book, but I might turn some of the ideas I had for books into comics, because I don't know, it just felt fun writing it that way. Yeah. If
it's fun, follow that instinct. Don't do something that's not fun. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that's not going to be fun as you get into it, but wow, having it be fun means you'll finish it. And it's like, if you finish a screenplay, you're in the 99.9 percentile group of all the people that say they're screenwriters that never finish a screenplay. They never finish anything. We've got a lot started, but they're always, working on it, and they never get it done. And getting it done, for me, it's like, it's got to be fun. So I do the paint. It's almost like we're both doing the same thing. I do paintings, you're doing a comic book, and they're both scripts, and I like the visual words that pow, that pop, that blink, chunk. I can see them, I can hear them. See.
Yeah, hearing and seeing. Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like because we're just so visual in that way, like, especially seeing people's expressions. Like, if I just do a doodle of a scene that's just somebody's eyes, like, I immediately know exactly what they're feeling, if they're angry, if they're sad, if they're whatever. I don't have to write out, he looked at her angrily and then turned to the side. It's like, no, you do like an arrow and just eyeballs, and you immediately, you see that visual and you're like, oh, blah, 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 Like, it's just instant. And actually, if I did want to write a book, I could do little comic panels of it first, just so I get the general idea of it, and then try to write about that. Like,
I used
just
to
get it all down.
I used to do my books with models. Like I had little car models, and I would,
Really?
yeah, and I would show chase scenes and where the car ends up, and then a little how they're going to go in there. So what I was really creating was a storyboard. You know, in movies,
Mhm.
you know, after you do a screenplay, normally what the big boys do is they'll draw out these scenes, and it's called story. They'll storyboard it, which can take a long time to do that. But that way, the director and the actors can see the visual movies in each of the panels. So that's
Yeah.
what you're doing in a way. When you do those comic books, you're just creating a storyboard.
Yeah. Yeah,
What they call
actually.
a comic strip.
And it's really nice to see like the sky view of it all just in 1 second and to know exactly what that scene looks like. Just
Yeah.
like when you're like flipping through it, you're like, oh, this is happening here, that's happening there, you know. And when you're looking at especially when you get like 100 pages in to something you've been writing, like it's really hard just to look at it and be like, yeah, that's what's happening. Like you're following where, especially if you leave off for like a week or like a month and you're coming back to it, like you might have no idea what's going on and want to restart because you're just detached from just looking at like a big wall of text, you know.
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
But
makes sense. I just got distracted because Christin sent me just a note.
Texting during the podcast, Larry? Oh my detention. Yeah, that's right. We're at school now.
Yeah. So anyway, why don't we, it's been, believe it or not, almost an hour.
Oh my god.
I know time goes by when you're having fun. So why don't we wrap up number 21, 22?
22. Yeah.
And today was just really about sharing how we make our creations fun, you know, which is, if it's not fun, you and I probably aren't going to do it. If it's boring, we'll put it off, you know, just
There's
like
no dopamine.
there's no dopamine. I've got, you know, stuff sitting over on that table that'll sit there till 1 hour before that's due, and then I'll do it.
Also, I feel like no dopamine kind of means easier to slip into a shame trance because then you're like, when you look back at it, you're like, I'm bored and this kind of sucks. Like you start picking yourself apart.
Yeah, and as you start picking it, you start making what's called judgments, and judgments lead to I'm unworthy.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm going to judge my unfinished work against your polished, finished work, and that's a kiss of death because it isn't going to look right.
Especially nowadays with like social media and stuff. You remember when I first made my Instagram and I was all excited and I made you one too? The longer I spend on Instagram, the more insecure I feel about myself because there's all these, like, I'm young and trying to do art and stuff too, but there's younger, prettier girls who are even better at me and they're doing art and they're so successful and like celebrities are messaging them to do like personal photos and I'm like, I gotta I can't look at it. I can't look. I don't want to feel jealous. I don't want to be that kind of person, but it's like, it's really rough. It's really rough. You know?
You don't think I'm jealous when one of my friends, I've got all these multimillionaire friends, and they'll, like, this one guy called me up literally yesterday. His name's John Van, and he's moved to Bulgaria, and he wants me to fly over, and he's, you know, bought this apartment, or I mean, a hotel and a house there. And he goes, yeah, I just bought a house in Monaco. It's only 1,200 square feet, but it's up on the mesa. And I said, well, how much did that cost? He goes, 600,000. You know, and it has to be cash because you can't get a loan when you're a foreigner like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just, you know, so I'm thinking like, what a loser I am. I'm like, you know, sitting here in my apartment in my underwear trying to write a screenplay. Hopefully I can sell for a few bucks to help my poor family in Cambodia. But hey, you know, John just goes over and, you know, and I've got other
buys
friends.
A house.
They don't realize when they show those pictures of their other houses and stuff, there's a lot of people out there that don't own houses or don't have that. And so jealousy is a kind of a natural reaction to, it's judging that picture against yourself. You know, like we talk about shame. The shame, my definition of shame is the self judging the self, you know, in a negative way. And
it's hard not to, because it's like,
hard not to.
Yeah.
So what happens is when we do these things like we were just talking about, and you're making the little cutouts for the, you know, you're not judging anything. You're in the process. That's called the good trance. When I'm, you know, creating this screenplay template of noise sounds, well, people are like, well, can't you remember what sounds are? Yeah, I can, asshole. I can remember what sounds are. But for me, I like to make it logical that I can, you know, oh yeah, I forgot that makes a beep sound, or that makes a squeaking sound when I can't
Like,
think of it.
you want to look at it when you need it and just like be inspired by it, you know?
And it just keeps the dopamine flowing, which means I'm not taking time. Even if I look at a great screenplay written by Larry Kasdan, you know, who wrote all those Steven Spielberg Raiders of the Lost Ark scripts, you know, I could think, oh, what a loser I am. No, I think, oh, what can I steal today from him? What ideas can I get? Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a good response. Is like, what can you learn from those people instead of like how much it bothers you that they're ahead instead? Because like, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you go the other way, then you'll just get like in a shame trance and you won't do anything. Yeah.
Hey, let's wrap up tonight's thing.
Gotta
So
eat dinner.
And
all right. Bye everybody.
Bye everybody, and see you next time.
Yeah.
Christin back one time too.
Yeah. She's only working 3 days a week now too. We gotta kidnap her one of these days.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Honey, you're excused. And I can't believe you were anywhere near my goose.